Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're stepping off the solid ground of everyday reality and into the dizzying, mind-bending world of quantum physics. We're going to tackle a concept so profound, so unsettling, that it blurs the line between science, philosophy, and outright horror. We're talking about quantum immortality. Now, when you hear the word immortality, you probably picture a vampire who never ages or a superhero who can regenerate from any wound. Forget all of that. Quantum immortality is something far stranger and arguably more terrifying. It isn't about your body living forever. It's the idea that your consciousness, your first-person subjective experience of being alive, can never truly end. To understand this, we first need to talk about one of the most popular yet controversial ideas in physics, the many worlds interpretation, or MWI. You've likely heard of Schrödinger's cat. In this famous thought experiment, a cat is placed in a box with a radioactive atom. If the atom decays, a purely random quantum event, it triggers a mechanism that kills the cat. Until you open the box and observe the system, quantum mechanics says the atom is in a superposition. It has both decayed, not decayed. Therefore, the cat is simultaneously both alive and dead. The mainstream view, the Copenhagen interpretation, says that the moment you observe it, this cloud of possibilities collapses into one definite state. The cat is either alive or dead. But the many worlds interpretation offers a far more radical explanation. Proposed by physicist Hugh Everett III in the 1950s, MWI suggests there is no collapse. Instead, at the moment of that quantum event, the entire universe splits. It cleaves into two distinct parallel realities, one where the atom decayed and the cat is dead, and another where it didn't decay and the cat is alive. And this doesn't just happen with cats in boxes. According to MWI, this branching happens constantly for every quantum event, creating a near-infinite, ever-expanding multiverse of parallel timelines. Every possible outcome of every event is realized in its own separate universe. So what does this have to do with you not being able to die? This is where quantum immortality enters the picture. Think about your own life. Any event that could end your existence, a car crash, a sudden aneurysm, a falling piano, is ultimately governed by a chain of probabilistic quantum-level events. There is always a chance, no matter how astronomically small, of a different outcome. Maybe the car swerves at the last microsecond. Maybe the weak spot in your artery holds for just a moment longer. Maybe the piano is deflected by a freak gust of wind. In the vast majority of universes, the tragic outcome happens. You die. But in at least one, or perhaps many of those branching realities, you survive. Here's the crucial, chilling leap. Your consciousness, your stream of awareness, can only continue in a reality where you are, well, alive. You cannot experience the universe where you have died. Therefore, from your own subjective point of view, you will find yourself on the path where you survived. Every time you face a life or death situation, your consciousness, by necessity, follows the timeline of survival. To an outside observer, you might have died in their reality. But to you, you just had another close call. You wake up, dust yourself off, and continue your life completely unaware that countless versions of you just ceased to exist. To make this terrifyingly clear, let's explore the ultimate thought experiment, quantum suicide. Imagine you sit in a chair and a gun is pointed at your head. This gun is wired to a quantum device that measures the spin of a particle every second. If the particle's spin is measured as down, the gun fires. If it's up, the gun just clicks. It's a 50-50 shot. You press the button. From an outside observer's perspective, there's a 50% chance you're gone after 1 second. After 2 seconds, 75%. After 10 seconds, the odds of you being alive are less than 1 in 1,000. They would almost certainly open the door to a tragedy. But from your perspective, you can only experience the outcome where the gun goes click. So you press the button. Click. You press it again. Click. Again. Click. You continue this experiment for a minute, an hour, From your point of view, the gun fires. It just clicks over and over against all imaginable odds. You would be forced to conclude that you are either the luckiest person in history or that you are, in some fundamental way, immortal. You are forever shunted into the reality where the particles spun up. This is the core of quantum immortality, a theory that suggests your personal story might just go on and on and on, whether you want it to or not. So, you survived the quantum suicide experiment. You hear an endless symphony of clicks, a constant affirmation of your continued existence. This might sound like a superpower, the ultimate plot armor. But as we peel back the layers, the implications shift from fascinating to profoundly horrifying. What does it mean to never experience an end? Quantum immortality doesn't promise a pleasant or healthy existence. It only promises an existence. This is where the existential dread kicks in. Imagine living through the 21st century, then the 22nd, and beyond. You survive every illness, every accident. But the theory doesn't say you'll survive them unscathed. You could survive a terrible car crash, but be left paralyzed. You could survive a terminal disease, but be left in a state of chronic, unending pain, your body decaying around you. The universe where you die peacefully in your sleep is just one branch. The branches where you survive in agony are also possibilities, and your consciousness would be forced to inhabit them. You would watch everyone you've ever loved grow old and die, not once, but over and over again as you continue your solitary journey. You would witness the slow, inexorable decay of society, of the planet, maybe even the heat death of the universe itself. A lone, conscious observer floating in a cold, empty void. It transforms the comforting idea of an afterlife into a potential eternity of suffering, a prison of awareness from which there is no escape. This is not the immortality of gods, it's the immortality of Sisyphus, forever pushing a boulder of existence with no final release. This disturbing concept also forces us to ask deep philosophical questions about the nature of our own identity. If you are just the thread of consciousness that happens to survive, what is that consciousness? Is it a soul? Is it just a complex pattern of information in a brain that the universe is compelled to preserve? The theory seems to elevate consciousness from a mere byproduct of brain chemistry to a fundamental component of reality, a necessary observer for a universe to even have a story. And what about free will? If the many worlds interpretation is correct, then every choice you make doesn't actually determine your path. It simply creates more paths. The you that chose to take the job and the you that chose to turn it down both exist. Does this diminish the weight of our decisions, knowing that every alternative, good or bad, is being played out in some parallel reality? It presents a version of reality where we are not authors of a single story, but seeds of an infinite library of tales, most of which we will never read. Of course, it's crucial to pull back from the philosophical abyss and anchor ourselves in the scientific debate, because quantum immortality is far from accepted science. In fact, it's a fringe idea built upon a controversial interpretation. The primary and most significant criticism is that its foundation, the many worlds interpretation, is just that, an idea. It is not a proven fact. Most physicists still subscribe to the more traditional Copenhagen interpretation, where the quantum wave function simply collapses into one reality upon observation, and that's the end of it. No branching, no parallel cells, no guaranteed survival. Furthermore, even within the MWI framework, there are major problems. One is the issue of probability. If all outcomes happen, why do we perceive things as having different probabilities? Why does an event with a 99.9% chance of happening feel virtually certain, while a 0.1% chance feels like a miracle? If your consciousness just follows survival branch, the probability shouldn't matter. Yet our entire experience of the world is built on these probabilities. MWI has struggled to provide a satisfying explanation for this, known as the measurement problem. But perhaps the biggest scientific strike against quantum immortality is that it is fundamentally untestable and therefore unfalsifiable. The scientific method relies on creating hypotheses that can be proven wrong. You can't prove QI wrong. The only person who could truly test it is the subject of the quantum suicide experiment. The observers in the realities where the experiment fails would just find a dead subject and conclude the theory is false. The one observer who could prove it true, the subject who survives, is trapped in their own timeline, unable to communicate their impossible survival to all the other branches. It's a perfect philosophical loop, but a frustrating dead end for empirical science. It remains a captivating, haunting what-if, a piece of metaphysical speculation born from the bizarre mathematics of the quantum world. Quantum immortality forces us to confront the deepest questions about who we are and the nature of our reality, blurring the line between a scientific possibility and a terrifying ghost story. So, what's your take? Is quantum immortality a comforting promise of eternal life or the ultimate existential nightmare? Let us know in the comments. Subscribe for more mind-bending science, and we'll see you in the next one.